The days are getting longer, and that just means one thing. Spring is coming to an end all too quickly in my Northern California garden, and when that happens, my cilantro, my favorite herb, starts to bolt. It's a cool weather herb. So today I'm going to be talking about what we can do to get the most out of your existing cilantro plants. Now, I made a video recently about how you can prolong your cilantro season. This is not exactly that. That talked about how you can succession plant, grow more plants, that kind of thing. Today I'm going to talk about your existing plants and what you can do to make them last longer. So first, let's take a look at this cilantro plant. This is one of my oldest. It's growing in my green stock, and I want to show you some signs that are telling me it's done. So one of the first signs is, you see the leaves over here? And compare them to some of the older leaves here. These are your typical cilantro leaves, but these leaves, can you see how the foliage is starting to get finer, almost wispy-like? Well, guess what? These are trying to form the flower stalks. This cilantro plant is about to bolt. Next thing you will see, let me actually show you my other plant. I harvested this about a week ago, and it usually comes back very quickly, but it is taking a lot longer. That is another sign that it is not happy to keep growing as actively. And so it's telling me, stop harvesting me. I'm done growing. I want to produce those flowers. That's why I'm producing these wispy leaves. The first thing you want to do is give it some nitrogen-rich fertilizer. Wait, not yet. First, you want to harvest those blooming stems. Yep, don't give it a chance to produce flowers. It kind of changes mode once it produces flowers. Now you can give it some nitrogen-rich fertilizer. Also, when the plant is in this mode, when it's this small and not growing as fast, don't do what I told you in the previous video when it was growing pretty aggressively. I told you just chop it down about 2/3 and it'll regrow. That's what I've been doing with this plant. It's been doing fine so far. But now that it has started slowing down, I would just grab a little sprig here or there until I see it looking a little bit more robust. So yeah, go easy on your plant. By the way, you know how in the previous video I shared with you two of the slowest bolting cilantro varieties? Well, I got one more for you, and I'll show that to you in just a minute. But before that, I've got another way in which you can extend the life of your cilantro plant. Let me show you. Okay, so this is a little bit backward. This is something that you should have done when you actually first planted the cilantro plants, and that is to separate out a few seedlings and plant them separately. So you see in this planter here, I've got some cilantro plants that I pulled out from one of my successions, and I planted them individually. Now I will thin these down to maybe 2 or 3 plants once I see which ones are the most robust. Cilantro does not like being transplanted, and some of them just may not make it. So we want to make sure that you get at least 3 in this cluster to grow individually. The idea is that cilantro plants, given enough nutrients and space to grow, will actually grow into pretty big plants. So rather than plant a whole bunch of seeds, you can actually get almost as much harvest out of a single plant as you can with maybe 7, 8 plants. So let me show you another kind of silly example, but it makes the point. So here at the bottom of my green stalk, a little cilantro seed apparently fell and grew in the cracks in the concrete. Now, I did not harvest this thing. Obviously, I haven't fertilized it. It's been stomped on. But can you see how nice and robust it is? This is one plant, guys. And you can get like a whole bunch of cilantro just from this one plant. So given enough nutrients, it actually grows really well. And it produces a lot of cilantro from just a single plant. So remember to do that. Whenever you plant cilantro, always take out a few plants, 6 or 7 of them, plant them separately, choose the best ones, and let them grow independently, and they'll produce loads of cilantro for you, and actually for a pretty extended period of time. Okay, now let's go check on my succession planted cilantro, and I'll talk about that new variety that I learned about. So this is my next succession of cilantro. It starts to grow really quickly once it passes that teeny tiny seedling stage, and I've got a whole grow bag. It grows quite well in grow bags. Just make sure that you keep the edges well watered because that tends to dry out. But look how lush that is. Yep, I'm going to be harvesting some good cilantro soon. Let me show you the super slow bolt varieties. So this here is Santo cilantro, and this here is Calypso cilantro. Now, Calypso is actually the slowest bolting cilantro ever. You can harvest cilantro through the hot summer, maybe all the way through the end of June if you grow this variety. Apparently, it takes on an average about 3 weeks more of cilantro growth than you would get out of something like Santo. Santo bolts a little bit earlier. That last variety that I mentioned to you, the new one that I discovered, is a variety called Cruiser. Cruiser is another great variety, and it actually is as long lasting as Calypso. So if you can't get a hold of Calypso, definitely look into Cruiser. Now, all these three varieties are open pollinated, which means you can save seeds. So make sure that you let a few of them actually bolt and go to seed. They are huge pollinator magnets, so you'll get the bumblebees and the butterflies, and you can save seeds and grow it forever and ever and ever. How cool is that? So check out the video that I made on how to prolong your cilantro growing season. I'll put a link to it somewhere here. And let me know whether you like cilantro or if you're one of those people that it tastes like soap too. I feel sorry for you, but my son and my mother-in-law both have that problem. They're always picking out cilantro from our Indian dishes. It is so popular in our Indian dishes. Enjoy!